Busy weekend for Kalen DeBoer, his first weekend, full weekend as Alabama's football coach. Got the staff pretty much put together. Those guys are out recruiting, and he entertained some big visitors and got some commitments. And you can feel the momentum starting to switch after 10 days of misery and angst for Alabama fans. Kalen DeBoer did a nice job this weekend. We're going to talk about that and what Alabama's looking for this week. Thanks for hanging out with us here on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. I'm Mick Gillispie. Make sure that you guys like and follow. Give us a thumbs up, and let's get this thing started with a big Roll Tide. What do you say, everybody? Welcome to the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel at Broadcaster Mick on the socials. I'm Mick Gillispie and appreciate all of you guys for hanging out. Even if you're not an Alabama fan, you're welcome to come and hang out here. You get in the comments section, you want to tangle, we'll tangle. But just know that I'm going to give it back to you. It doesn't mean that there's any hate or anger behind it. It's just fun. And I hope that all of you guys kind of take that same tact in the comment section. I know a lot of you do, because I read the comments, and it is a lot of fun hanging out here. There's some haters in the world right now, and I guess that's because of all the winning that Alabama's done over the years. And people aren't expecting that Kalen DeBoer is going to be able to turn this program around. Well, he doesn't have to turn it around. I think that's what everybody's got to understand. He's just got to try to keep the ship floating. And as of right now, 26 transfers in the portal, 10 after Nick Saban stepped down, and DeBoer kind of dealing with that and starting to add some guys after a really big recruiting weekend in Tuscaloosa. And he'll continue to build momentum in that direction. We're going to talk about the commitments that he had, some guys that I think are going to commit, and one 5-star that the players are saying that he's coming back. He decommitted and he's coming back. So it's exciting. Obviously, this isn't what a lot of Alabama fans thought they were going to be doing, is, talking about someone other than Nick Saban, who'd been the coach for 17 years. But it's Kalen DeBoer's ship right now. And going through the process, naming some really good football coaches to the staff. We've talked about those guys on the channel. And I'm really excited about that aspect of the team. I think if you really pay attention to Alabama football, the recruiting's been great, but the development could have been better over the last, 5-6 years, even a national championship in there and some great teams. And that's something that DeBoer has done really well. He's done great in the transfer portal, and then he's also done great as far as developing. Last year, the Joe Moore award-winning offensive line, he had Michael Penix, his quarterback, who was a Heisman Trophy finalist, got past Texas into the national championship game with less money spent and less talent. And the biggest thing that he's had to worry about right off the bat are guys leaving, and the perception that you can't help but having when you watch all of these guys who were part of this Alabama program bolt out of town. And one of those guys, the one that hurt the most, was freshman All-American, Sean Alexander Award winner, SEC Freshman of the Year. And that would be Caleb Downs. And what we're finding out is that Downs, who went to Ohio State, along with Quinshawn Judkins and a lot of other of the top players, the elite talent in the transfer portal, that they paid $13 million for transfers in the portal. And I know you're going to say, well, that's just where we're at right now. It is. And it's no longer amateur athletics. But NIL wasn't supposed to be a school paying for players. It was supposed to be like when Bryce Young, and someone mentioned that in a comment. Well, look at Bryce Young was the first $1 million player. Yeah, and Bryce Young was also a Heisman Trophy winner. He was also on TV commercials and did things that would basically use his name, image, and likeness. It wasn't that he came to Alabama, it's what he did when he got there. And I think that's what the whole thing was supposed to be about. If you sign a football or if they use your jersey or they put you on a video game, that you should be paid for that. Not, hey, we're going to spend $13 million and go out and buy the best players to come to Ohio State or Texas A&M or Texas or wherever. And honestly, if that's the game, then Alabama's obviously going to have to do a good job, a better job of going out there and building that collective and continuing to add to it, because this is going to be something that we're going to see until there's a rule made up that says that you can't do it. And that's all the teams in college football. But Alabama is going to be fine. It's the smaller teams that you wonder how they're going to survive in this world, and it might end up being a group of the top college football programs that are all paying a bunch of money for their games, and then maybe a different divisions based off of how much money you spend. We'll see how it works out. But Coach DeBoer, though, did a good job this weekend. The number one priority to most Alabama fans was replacing Seth McLaughlin, who also transferred to Ohio State, along with Bill O'Brien, who's now the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. It's going to have kind of an Alabama feel to it. But McLaughlin had a tough time snapping the football. I've never honestly seen anything like it before. It was like he had the yips. So Alabama goes out. Kalen DeBoer brings Parker Brailsford, his center on last year's team, Pac-12 championship team, to Tuscaloosa, and he commits to coming to Alabama. And I thought that this was a really big get for Alabama. You're seeing DeBoer bring in a player that he knows. This guy was going to transfer, and I know that some of you guys that are Washington fans are as fed up as we are about Caleb Downs watching guys transfer. And honestly, it's just the way that it is right now. But I feel for you guys too. I feel for what's going on right now in college football. It stinks, right? But as far as Alabama's concerned, this is a great get. And I think Washington Husky fans would tell you the same thing. He's one of the best centers in the country. Alabama's snapping issues are over. And Brailsford played a little right guard and then 13 games in a row at center, solidified that line, which was the best in college football. I thought this was a really big addition for DeBoer, and it was some good news over the weekend. He also, late last night, secured the services of Jermaine Bernard. Bernard started out at Michigan State, then went to Washington, and now he's coming to Alabama. So he's going to hit every single major conference before it's all said and done. But he's an interesting player. At 6'2", 205, he's not built like a lot of the wide receivers. This guy can catch, but he's also a running back that they used last year. Had a couple of touchdowns running the ball and had touchdowns catching the ball. And for Alabama, who lost Isaiah Bond, who every time we look on social now, he's posing next to new cars to go to Texas. This is someone that might be able to slide in and help this wide receiver core that Alabama has. So I'm expecting him to be a part of it, and that's exciting for Alabama. It's another good get for DeBoer. And what we're finding about DeBoer is that the guys that know him really like him, that he has a group of loyal people around him, not just the players that are transferring in, but seeing it with the coaches as well, with these guys who have worked with him in the past and are lining up to leave their jobs. Two of them were head coaches, one at Buffalo and one at South Alabama, and they're jumping into the opportunity. So he got him. Noah Carter, I'm expecting this 4-star to commit anytime if he hasn't already. This one's going to be the next one probably to jump in and join Alabama. He was there over the weekend with the other guys from Washington. And don't forget Austin Mack, the quarterback, was the first guy to come in, and then Julian Sayin left, and guess where he's going? Yeah, Ohio State. No surprise, right? So Noah Carter is an edge rusher. The other guy that everyone's going to ask about is Jabbar Muhammad. Muhammad was a second-team All Pac-12 corner. Alabama would certainly have a spot for him, and we'll see what DeBoer can do here. Muhammad is being pulled in a lot of different directions. There's money being thrown at him. Maybe he'll be the next guy posing next to Lamborghinis or Broncos down at Texas, because they've obviously made that part of their recruiting pitch, and they have offered him, and then he's going to Oregon, I guess, sometime soon, and then he'll make a decision. But we'll see. From what I understand, he had a great visit in Tuscaloosa. Obviously, he knows what Coach DeBoer is all about, and I wouldn't be surprised if he comes to Tuscaloosa. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't. I think honestly, I think it's a 50-50 venture, and we'll find out. Now, the last guy I want to talk about that was there over the weekend is Ryan Williams. And you're starting to see guys like Mbakwe, who was at Clay Chalkville this year, tweeting, or was it Instagram, where he's talking about he thinks Ryan Williams is gonna be back. You've seen some social media buzz that there's some big news coming. Ryan Williams, the best player in the state of Alabama. He is a 5-star wide receiver, as you guys know, reclassified so that he'll be ready for this year. Rumors are, I've heard this from multiple people, that if he doesn't go to Auburn, it's not because of money. They're going to give him as much as he wants. But we'll find out if he wants to play for a coach who I call the wide receiver whisperer, and that's Ryan Grubb, and that offense that he brings from Washington and all those wide receivers that caught a lot of passes last year. And I'm guessing that that's going to continue in Tuscaloosa. And he would be, even as a true freshman, would be right at the top of the list to play for Alabama if he comes to Tuscaloosa. And got a lot of friends that have been around. Obviously, Julian Sayin leaving, could throw a monkey wrench in there, but I don't think so. I got this feeling that he's having a tough time not going to Alabama. Now, what's coming up this week for the Crimson Tide? I think it's a lot of the same. You've got this coaching staff finally with their contracts done, watching on Instagram and Twitter where they're out recruiting. They have a GM that kind of oversees all of them. I believe his name's Courtney Morgan, who's overseeing this entire venture. He's going to love recruiting as Alabama's recruiting GM, because it's going to be a little bit different than when he was at Washington with DeBoer and the other places. I think these guys are going to find out that it's a lot easier to recruit when you're recruiting as Alabama's head coach than if you're trying to convince somebody to come to Washington. And that's no offense to Washington. It's just why DeBoer left to come to Alabama. I mean, it's known for college football. So should be a great week. When something breaks, we're going to jump on here just like we have all weekend long, and keep you updated on everything going on with the Tide. Hey, let me tell you guys this, a couple things. I want to start with Pearl River Resort over in Choctaw, Mississippi, Philadelphia. They've got the Timeout Sports Lounge, sports book. I can't wait to get there again. It's been a stressful couple of weeks. I want to sit back with a cigar, watch some sports, and gamble like I'm in Vegas, right? You can do that with the NFL, NBA, college basketball, NASCAR, soccer around the world. They've got all these games on TVs in there. They got the slots. They got the table games. They've got Dancing Rabbit Golf Course, which is the Augusta you can play. They've got a spa, pools, the whole thing. It's an hour and a half from Tuscaloosa, 2 hours from Birmingham, and it feels like you're going all the way to the other coast to Las Vegas for a night. A little chip of Vegas right there in Mississippi. Find out for yourself at Pearl River Resort. Also, some big acts coming up. Ron White from the Blue Collar Comedy Tour. He's going to be there performing in February. The Wallflowers are there as well, and a lot of other great acts. They constantly keep those rolling through. Also, let me tell you about my buddy Chad Anderson, or now all of a sudden he wants to get highbrow on us. I call him Catfish. He calls himself Chadwick Anderson at chadwickanderson.com. He's helped over 1,000 families and businesses get into homes, including me, which I'm in here right now, and I mean that. We couldn't have done it without him. Investment consultant, Airbnb expert, and a big Alabama fan. And we appreciate him being on here as well. All right, guys, thanks so much. We will talk to you soon. Have a great week. And can I say it one time? You want to say it with me? 1, 2, 3. Roll Tide.